Hi, my name is Beth, and in this video, I am going to explain how to fill in the Agroforestry Design Template. You can see that there are several tabs that you will need to fill in. We will begin by looking at the general information. The general information is divided into 9 sections, comprising a total of 38 questions. Here, we ask questions about forestry design, climate conditions, land preparations, farmer trainings, farmer inputs, soil, water, commercial, and some monitoring questions. Some questions have a drop-down list, and others require you to fill in manually with some more details. Please note that if you are filling in for farms that have existing agroforestry as the baseline land use, that you only need to fill in the yellow boxes. If the land use is anything other than existing agroforestry, then please answer all of the questions. The next tab contains some useful definitions. Here we have some concepts that the local partners can review, and if you are unsure of any terminology, you can check it here. Next, we will go to the Trees and Crops tab. This is where you will fill in the different species that you plan on implementing in the agroforestry design process and any management practices that the plots will need. Because you are working with a lot of farmers, it is likely that you will have multiple designs. Here, we have included multiple tabs for each design. In each of the agroforestry designs you plan on implementing, it is important that you write down your agroforestry design number and name, what kind of agroforestry system you have, which is a simple drop-down menu, and for which farmers and region this agroforestry design is meant. In each of the Trees and Crops tabs, we have 2 big tables relating to the trees and 1 smaller table relating to other crops. It is important that these tables are filled in fully, because we can then make better predictions about the carbon dioxide uptake and provide better estimates for the crews generated. Let's start with the first table. First, you can enter the main woody cash crops. These are the trees that will be producing the main source of income on the farmland, for instance coffee, cocoa, or in this case mango. In category 1, you enter what trees are already present on the farms. It will also really help us if you add the age of the tree here too. In category 2, you can enter what trees you are planning on planting on the farms, so the trees that have not yet been planted. And in the third category, you can leave this blank or add your own categorization if you feel that it is necessary. Feel free to overwrite the other categories too, if you have your own way of categorizing the trees. It is also nice if you fill in the scientific names of the trees, because there are many different common names, and using the scientific name will help us in our carbon estimations. If the scientific name is unknown, you can ask us. If there are any other names of the trees, or if there is a specific cultivar, you can fill it in here, under local name/variety. The next tab, required or optional tree, what do we mean by this? This means that farmers in the agroforestry system are allowed to choose some species themselves, and the local partners can decide whether this is a requirement or not. So, the required trees must be planted by the farmers, and the optional trees can be decided by the farmer themselves if they want to plant it. So in this case, some farms may already have orange or lemon trees, but not both, and then farmers will also have the choice whether they would prefer to plant guava or acacia, for example. Next, we come onto trees per hectare per year. Please note that this is per hectare, not per plot and not per region, so please be mindful of that. We know that not all farms will have exactly the same trees per hectare, so in this case, try and give an average. In some cases, farmers may also wish to split the planting over a few years. You can indicate this by entering the number of trees you wish to plant per year. In each column, this will not be the total number of trees, but rather the number of trees planted in that year. In this example, all of the planting will be done in the first year. Next, we come onto the planting distance. I will use the example of the agroforestry design layout near the bottom of this tab. This layout shows what will be planted and where. In this example, we see that squash has a planting distance of 4 by 4 meters. We ask that you fill in the planting distance in this format, and the units that we use are in meters. Next, we will fill in the survival rate. This is how many trees are expected to survive. So in this example, for every 100 mango trees that we plant, we expect 85 to survive. We would also like to know if the farmers will replant those trees that did not survive. This is a simple drop-down where you will select yes or no. Next, we would like to know the main purpose of each of the trees, which can be selected from the drop-down menu. If there are multiple purposes, there is an option to select this. When filling in, please fill in the order of the importance for each of the purposes. For example, with the mango, the most important purpose is for commercial reasons, so selling the fruits. But the mango may also provide the farmers themselves with food, so a second purpose here would be subsistence. The next part, tree in farm or boundary, is important so we know where the trees will be located on the farm. For example, will they be integrated within the farmland, or will they be used to border the farm? You can easily select an option from the drop-down list. The next sections, pruning, tree felling, coppicing, and pollinating, are very important to fill in as they influence our carbon calculations quite a lot. You can find the definitions under the Definitions tab, and again, it is another simple drop-down menu. Propagation type refers to how the tree will be grown. Again, it is another drop-down option where you can select from different options. The same goes for the nursery type. Where does the seed or seedling or other propagation type come from? This is also a drop-down menu. So that was the first table. Now we're going to take a look at the second table. To begin, we start by entering the farmer's familiarity with each of the tree species. There is also a drop-down list here. By this, we mean, first of all, are the farmers aware of the tree? Have they been planting the trees already for a long time? Are they aware of the different management practices? The next column is very important, the expected tree height. There are many different cultivars of the same species, and there are different ways of growing trees. Maybe trees are also cut at the top, such as with pollinating, so please fill this in. This is very important for us to know for the carbon calculations. For example, mango trees can grow up to 10 meters tall, but are often kept at 4 meters for management. The next columns are quite simple. Which months are you planning to plant the trees? And what is the expected life cycle of the tree? If the tree becomes unproductive before the end of its life cycle, you can write here how many years it will be before it is expected to be felled. And then, once the tree is at the end of its life cycle, will the same tree species be replanted? These are all very important for us to know with regards to our carbon calculations. The next section, the fruit harvesting season, only needs to be filled in for trees that produce fruits, such as the mango, and this is the month that the fruits will be harvested. For trees that do not produce fruit, you can simply write down not applicable. Next, we would like to know if irrigation will be applied. We would like to know this, as this will affect how the trees grow, and will therefore impact how much carbon will be taken up by the trees. This has 4 drop-down options. Please select one of them. The next sections, about pruning and tree felling, will appear as green or grey depending on what you answered in the first table. You will only need to fill in the green parts, and you can leave the grey areas blank. Here, you can indicate pruning purpose, so just give a brief description, how often and in what years and months you will be pruning. The same goes for the sections on tree felling and coppicing and pollinating. By filling in this section as fully and accurately as possible, we are able to provide you with the best crew calculations possible. The final table provides us with information about the annual crops. These are the crops that will be replanted every year. This should be the easiest table to fill in and requires the common and scientific names of each of the crops, the main purpose and any additional purposes of the crops, the planting period and harvesting months of the crops, which years they will be planted, and also if irrigation will be applied. Thank you for listening to Acorn's explainer on the Agroforestry Design Template. If you have any questions or wish to speak to us about the template, please do not hesitate to contact us.